believe we are live. Thank you so much for coming and clicking on my video. Really do appreciate it. And make sure that if you are not watching this live, dog's having a good time. Make sure if you're not watching this live that and you're seeing this a little bit afterwards that you join us for the last 15 minutes of this video because we do break down every stock that we cover. So if you're watching throughout the day, you'll get a little breakdown of those stocks. And good morning, Matthew. Yeah, and the one thing I wanted to put at the beginning of this video, for anyone that might see it not live or anything like that, is the course is going to be still 50% off for the rest of this week. So it is pretty much your last opportunity to get this for 50% off. Just $100 to be trading better out there. But that's all we got to say about that. Let's go into some price action here. Good morning, Amin. Good morning to Booster. Good morning, Matthew. Thank you guys for showing up today. SPY coming to lower levels. We have to pay attention to. What are we going to pay attention to? Well, our daily expected move. We really haven't gotten anything too crazy. Let's see if we're going to maybe break out of this. Fed speakers, GDP, and other key things to watch this week. Nothing really coming out as obvious bad news as of this morning. So if anyone sees anything, obviously make me aware of it. Sometimes I get stuck watching these charts and then I miss a little piece of fundamentals, but I want to pay attention to this. If we start to break down, make sure we're not using it as resistance to head lower. Actually a good shot that we just use this to base out around this area. So on the Qs, similar story here. Kind of found this channel. If you look at the futures market, this channel actually makes sense. This flagging actually makes sense. So if we want to come down into this area, we could see that start to buy back up from here. So maybe something like this actually does take place, as we haven't really gotten any kind of terrible news. Nvidia, one thing I'm worried about with Nvidia, and actually we'll just go through everything real quick. Apple about to curl over into negative territory, break through this low. That would be very, very bad for Apple. We could see extreme selling. So I think if you really want this market to head up over the next couple of days, you really don't want Apple to start breaking through this level. I think that's very, very important here. Tesla just running through as well. This one, remember we were saying, hey, yeah, this has some daily divergence, but this could be just another 0.2 head lower. See if it wants to test this level down here. I did see AMD actually dropping off pretty dramatically. So that, and someone did ask, Robert, I don't know if they're here yet, but someone did ask if the weekly ranges takes into consideration the news. The weekly ranges are just calculating what the options market expects for the week. Okay, so it calculates the options data, takes the implied volatility, and just says, hey, this is how far this is expected to move this week. That can keep those things in mind. So as we go over to AMD, I'll just click over on it real quick. It can keep those in mind, right? Because what if someone on the inside knew about this news beforehand and they made a big option play? That would be priced in. So if someone knew about it before, it can be priced in. But overall, you just want to know that that's what the options market expects to happen. So even if it hits that lower range and we do have bad news, we can see a bounce. So we have to pay attention to AMD today. Not looking the best, honestly. Nvidia, one thing that to pay attention to is just this 15-minute. I really think we have a good shot to actually see Nvidia head a little bit higher and then drop off, kind of testing these levels up in here. So on the daily scale, we can see that this number, maybe this number right here, 951.30, somewhere up in this area, we could run into resistance early on in the day. If we see positivity, we're seeing some negativity across the board here. Possibilities of that post-Fed sell-off with some weakness here. Meta, nothing too much to worry about at this point. You're not necessarily breaking down too far. You just don't want this to dramatically break this low. We can kind of base out, kind of get some flagging up in here for Meta. And remember, Meta's been added to the Patreon, so if you do want the weekly ranges for Meta, it's on there now. Someone did ask about Microsoft for some ranges, so I did put that up. They asked for it on my Patreon. So I'm going to play with Microsoft ranges, but this is the overall range for Microsoft going forward. Now, one thing about Microsoft, you can see this on a lot of charts. We're going to see this type of setup on a lot of charts. Remember, that's invalidated if it cuts below this low. So right now you're seeing, look at that, Google or Microsoft all of a sudden just dropping while we're watching it by another 0.5%. So you got to pay attention to a lot moving forward. We got about 3 minutes till open. Google was one I was really looking at on a 30-minute. This thing actually looked like, divergence here, could curl over a 2-hour. Maybe we want to go fill this gap. And this 140.97 is just a support line. I don't want anyone thinking that's like a range. I haven't made the ranges for Google. I just saw this setup this morning And the SPY, yeah, we expect it to get this low, right? But all that has to happen, guys, is for some positivity to come in. Shorter time frame, this is a negative trend, I'm sure, but if this just wants to come down to here, we could see that actually base out. So we want to see this price point at 518.88, right? So we want to see where that would line us up. Well, that would be a retest of the 5-day moving average. What do we do when we get outside of the Bollinger? We come back to 5-day, and then we can see maybe some more positivity come in. So this is going to be your first important one. If you want to, you can break down all the way down to that 20, but right now this could just be a retest of the 5 as of today, as we are getting towards the lower side of our expected moves very, very early on in the day this morning. And Qs, we can look at that same area, that 443.31, and see if that's a similar story. Well, we can see out of the Bollinger. Oh my gosh, I just ruined it. I ruined it, guys. That is not the updated daily. Wait, there it is. There it is. There it is. There we go. Okay, so it's outside of the Bollinger. Where does that 443 almost line up with? Well, a retest of the 5. So we could be getting some kind of retest of the 5 and then see that actually bought back up. So be just very careful right now. All you have to do is watch 30-minute goes negative. I can be a little bit more negative in the stock market, but right now you're coming down to these levels right first thing in the morning. So we could be seeing a curl up as of today. So we just want to see, does this just keep going? Does this keep going? This is all the options market priced in for the day, and we have that opening coming out right now. The SPY also about to head to that level as well. So I would really look for something that's a little bit beat up, even like Apple or something. See if it's able to hold up at these levels and curl back up. Tesla, not looking the best. Maybe we on the shorter, well, you got a little bit of a head and shoulders going on here. So we could be getting another move higher in Tesla. We'll have to see what happens from that. AMD, not good news coming out for AMD. Setting up another point of divergence actually right here. So that would be interesting going up. Now you have a ton of liquidity if we're able to actually head higher, but that's some bad news coming out for AMD. So that's no bueno. SMCI seeing some positivity this morning. One that we want to keep a close eye on is going to be Nvidia on this 15-minute. This 15-minute is going to be pretty important for Nvidia. We could get one more push higher. Okay, so let's watch the Qs, see how they're reacting from the bottom side of this daily expected move. Happening very, very early on in the morning. A ding, ding, ding. Yeah. So we have to say, okay, well, the probability of us going up from here is actually higher than going down. But does that mean I'm going to take a play this morning? No. I do not have any setups as of right now to head higher on anything that I would necessarily trade this morning. So I am going to be McChillin'. There's the push from Nvidia, possibly going to make that another point here in this divergence. We'll have to pay attention to that. Meta breaking down 2 lower levels. The Qs able to hold up now. So here you go. This is the potential right here. Once we see this kind of gain some steam behind it, crossover, we can start to look at a 30-minute. Good morning, Marina. How are you? How's everyone doing? Marina, how you doing? To see the truth. Matthew, welcome. Robert Konigstiger. I don't know how to say your name, but I'm trying. Connie, thank you for being here this morning. Philip, Chim, Leo, welcome. John Duran, Amin, the Booster. Thank you guys for showing up this morning. Really do appreciate it. Hopefully, let me tell me your trades. What trades we got going on today? Who's long? Who's short? What's going on? And John, what up? Mom and baby girl have not even really woken up yet, so that we might get to hear them wake up in a moment. Palo Alto is one that did not look the best either. This thing looking like it could test this level down here. Big head and shoulders, a lot of liquidity. Oh yeah, Mara. Mara's been... Oh, he's coughing. Mara's been something you can like trade back and forth. Look at this, curling up into positive territory right here. So this could be a decent move higher, kind of completing that cup. This is the handle. Maybe we actually see an explosive move from Mara moving forward. That would be very, very interesting. Sitting on my hands till I see a setup. Same, pretty much same. Like I might bounce around, look how expensive stuff is, but for the most part, I am not really looking into much. Because let's see, Mara on the daily here. Yeah, about to cross. Mara actually could see a decent sized move here. Now remember, we do have a shortened trading week. Keep that in mind. Remember to keep it in mind. We have a little bit of a shortened trading week. Mara, though, looking decent here. It's still above the 200 on the daily scale. We're seeing almost a swing trade pop up for Mara as of right now with that, this price action down beats us all the way down, right? We get down to lower levels. We can see the swing back up now. So we start to look at a 30-minute, then we can look at a 2-hour. You see this thing curled up. It could curl back down. We could get a divergence early on, right? You see the 2-hour really wanting to cross. But as of right now, you're rejecting. Could actually head higher. You want to look at this daily about to cross to the upside. Well, if that actually does happen, we get that confirmation go positive, we actually could see Mara make another touch up here around 35. So we could see a big move from Mara over the next few days. Something to pay attention to. Now, Microsoft dropping below its 5. Palo Alto, not looking the best, but maybe it reacts off the 20 there. Apple just continuing to break down. Maybe we get a daily divergence soon. Tesla finally seeing that positivity. So here's your opportunity possibly for this daily to actually perform. You just want to be a little bit careful. Pay attention to those weekly moves if we get a little excited. Amazon holding up at the 5-day moving average. And Nvidia on the 15, really what we need to pay attention to. It could be seeing an upward move, but will that last? Will that be a long-lasting thing? We'll have to point that out if that actually happens, because this actually could roll over and we could see a pullback over the next few days for Nvidia. Google, the one that was looking pretty weak. This one is one I thought about taking this morning, but I just wasn't jumping into it too quick here. You can just see 30-minute divergence here. So if we wanted to, we can roll over the 2-hour. We can see a pretty good pullback out of Google going forward. So we just want to see what's going on. But let's see if the Qs are able to hold up in this area. We see that potential support coming in right where we expect it. It's right where we expect it. Visa still dropping. We focus on divergences and daily expected moves. So we're really dealing with every single week live. We actually pay attention to the daily expected moves. Okay. So Paul VTV. So these red lines here are all the options market priced in for the entire day. And we're already at it at the bottom side of it early on in the day. So that would tell me most of the probabilities from this level right here actually have a chance for this to head up from here. This is where you can find support. Now, if you start to break below that level, that's where you have a 32% chance to see something crazy like this. You use it as resistance. But overall, this is just what the options market priced in for the day. And then this is what the options market priced in for the week. And then this is what the options market priced into the upside for the month. So we pay attention to every single week, every day, the daily expected moves, every week, the weekly expected moves, especially for the individual stocks. We give these out on Patreon. You can see Apple here possibly going to form maybe a divergence or come down into this level and then form that divergence right here. So we look for good setups. We look for good setups around probabilities where it's actually going to go the other way or see another positive move. So as of right now, you'd say, yeah, the Qs, it's selling off. People might be saying, is this a crash, blah, blah, blah. All we're saying is, well, the 30-minute here, it's not even in negative territory. So we focus on MACD, we focus on the center line. And then we could say, hey, yeah, this can be a sell-off, and then this just buys right back up. It's flagging out here. We could see that roll up one more time. This crossing up into positive territory is a good thing. But Google rolling over here has the potential to head down. So you kind of have a mixed bag going around. And people ask about Mara all the time. Let's add that thing on there. I'm just going to put it at the bottom somewhere, like down below SMCI. Just one to watch, you know. Going positive, solid move as of this morning. You can see this create a divergence in the near future. That would make a lot of sense. Come up into these areas, maybe 25 or something like that. It's a good target there. Yeah, AMD just coming out with news as of this morning. But remember, just know here that you're setting up another point of divergence actually down here. So AMD looks like it actually could, you know, get some ground from here and head up, weirdly enough. Now, I'm not saying it's not impossible for this to keep breaking down. We're breaking through a key level, right? But we've held up in this area weird, like some wonky price action before. So we can be getting that again. But right now, you see triple divergence. Now you're really close to positive. So you're saying, hey, AMD has the potential for a big move. So it's kind of like if AMD is going to go up, you'll see something like this happen. If it's going to go down, you're going to see probably something like this happen at that point. So there's two. You really just want to stay trading how we have been. Just be like a little bit back and forth with it. Meta, I'm going to take my price target off. That might take a little bit of time to get there. Yeah, Paul V, we've been doing pretty good. And if you stick around, watch some live videos for this week, and you like this information, you like this style, you can learn a lot of how I see these indicators and how I use weekly ranges, and I even give you a trading strategy for when volatility is higher. And that's actually down in the course below. It's going to be 50% off until the end of this month. So give us a chance over here on YouTube Live and see if you like how our trading style. And then if you do, you can go take that course. It'll be very, very good for you. Helps you understand exactly what's going on with these indicators here. And it's very, very simple. Keeping things simple is a good thing. So as of right now, we could actually be getting this big cup in here. We could get that handle. We could start to head upward. You'd like that to really complete up in this area up here for the VIX. So the fact that it's not could mean we're just going to see this fade down. So we have to pay attention to that. We do have some news coming out this week as well. Let's see what the SPY is doing. Not able to break down to lower levels just yet. Not testing that lower side expected move, but the Qs are breaking through. So this is where we have to be a little bit more cautious here and say, okay, this does have the potential to break down if it keeps going from here, if it uses this as resistance. Tesla actually seeing a pretty good bounce here, and you do have daily divergence, so you have potential for a move higher maybe before earnings. I would just note that, and people might rotate out of Nvidia or something like that, because Nvidia not looking the best right now. It's really not. I know that that's outside of it, but the 15-minute is really what I'm paying attention to here, and it's not looking the best from a momentum to the upside perspective. I'm not saying it has to crash down. It just looks like it wants to pull back a little bit before heading higher, but you do have that opportunity to get some stuff to break down, some good structure here to break down. So we don't necessarily want to see that. We want to see it kind of maybe even make a move higher, right? Maybe even make one move higher and then start to do something like this and curl up. So we'll pay attention to this throughout the week. AMD seeing that buyback up. Hopefully it's not some kind of retest of this area up here and it starts to head down lower. Meta really starting to break down as well. Google, this was the good trade. You literally can trade down to here, and it's a really good trade up here. You probably, if you're able to find this on Friday, which I wasn't, unfortunately, you can see that break down a little bit. You're probably already pretty good in the money. That is a 2.7 point move. in just the first hour of trading of the week here. So something good to pay attention to there. Apple's starting to it's continuing to break down at this point. Is it going to gain some ground here, set up that divergence? But as of this morning, not really seeing many setups. The only one that we're really looking at was Mara, because Mara looks like 30-minute could curl up, positive territory. That one looks okay. So thank you guys for bringing up that, but little scary. I'm kind of sitting on the sideline just watching all this stuff, seeing if it creates divergences in the future. That would help me out more. Caught that little gap down on Nvidia. Boom, there you go. Well, and you do have those 15-minute divergences already here. They've already crossed. So when you get 15-minute, I like to watch the hourly and see if this can curl over. This is pretty much my actual confirmation here. So if this is able to curl over this morning, then I would say, yeah, these are valid at this point, and this might come down to a point maybe like right around this 903 before it wants to base out, or it could get some kind of full retest, right? It could come down much lower, and then we see that buy back up. But you're not seeing selling in this one just yet. So, you know, you're pretty fine as of right now. But the momentum to the upside on Nvidia has weakened as of right now. Thank you. I like anime. I like anime too. So this here, if you're wondering why I have this flag, it's because if you look at the futures market, this flag actually does show up there. So I just wanted to put it on my chart so I knew like, hey, yeah, this makes sense. We could actually still be in a flag and come down to our daily expected move. So we're already there. So, you know, unless we're going to sell off more dramatically, sorry, I had to stretch. Unless we're going to sell off more dramatically, which would mean that we're going to use this as resistance. The thing about that is, if we get way down to here before like GDP or something like that, and we just curl back up, that could be a very positive thing, okay? That could be a very positive thing for the market. Well, it means that the probability of a positive thing is higher. But if you watched last night's video, we talked a lot about, you know, coming to the downside of this expected move. This is pretty much what we talked about on the Qs, the SPY, coming down to this area down here. So not too worried. IWM actually seeing some strength, could curl up positive territory. Could be seeing another move higher. This was actually a pretty dramatic move on Friday down. So that was kind of awesome to see. But Tesla's holding up well, honestly. I mean, it's buying back up. It's filling this gap. You just hope that's not some kind of head and shoulders to break down at this point. With the daily, if you pull up a daily chart, you're going to see divergences and stuff. So there is potential for Tesla to see a strong move. So I won't be like shorting this by any means, like just in case. But if it sees that upward move, I'm also not taking calls because the shorter time frames are showing me weakness. The bigger time frames like the daily are showing me positivity, right? They're saying, hey, there's divergence here. We have the potential for that to really explode higher. So I won't be really going anywhere near Tesla until it starts to maybe like hit an expected move. Nvidia going positive again. This is where you want to watch that 15 minutes. See if we create that next point of divergence here. That would be very important going forward. Wonder what. Bitcoin back up to 67,000. Ooh, one that I wanted to watch was TLT. This 10-year starting to rip higher again, so that's something to pay attention to this morning. This is a 15-minute on the 10-year. Nothing really you want to fully pay attention to there on the 15-minute, but we can see the dollar starting to break out, starting to come back down from this area. We could get a retest of all these moving averages maybe, and then we start to see that head a little bit higher. So I'm just going to wait, see if this 2-hour curls down, if it can curl back up after some kind of retest. But volatility looking, you know, with a little jump this morning. Will this just curl back down? You know, that's what I'm thinking here. The hourly curl back down, give me some kind of divergence, maybe on the hourly and 2-hour at the same time. that might be a good signal that we're actually going to see lower prices. But as of this morning, seeing those lower prices come in right away, so you want to pay attention to Nvidia. It's the big dog. You want to see if this divergence holds here. Or maybe, you know, this is 15-minute positive territory. We could get some kind of ballistic move. We know that above 1,000 here is where that weekly expected move is. So if you want the weekly expected move for Nvidia here, very, very good to watch as it is up towards 1,000. And we could get towards that, you know, early on this week, and that would be a very good trade setup. We do have a shortened trading week, so you do have a little less time, right? So you kind of have to act like we're on a Tuesday here and be like, okay, so I have, you know, if it gets out early on Tuesday, then I could say, oh, all right, there's a good probability it comes back down. If it starts to head into Wednesday and it starts to get out of it, it can come back down, but that could just be a pullback into next week. So AMD, let's just see if it can get this point here. You do have a quadruple divergence down here. AMD not looking horrible, honestly. Like from a momentum perspective, that is bad news. But if this can just go positive, we can actually see that positivity come in. Just not happening as of this morning. See if Nvidia can get that very strong move upward. There's that strong move coming in for Nvidia this morning. This is what we were talking about in the video. Possible triple divergence setting up in this area right around this closing high, right? So we kind of closed, or we opened around this area that one time. So you have to pay attention to pretty much where we're at right now. Now we could head up from here. We definitely could. We could head up, consolidate, head up again. So this is just a 15-minute chart. You want to pay attention to if those 2 hours and things like that are actually rolling over. That would be a little bit more helpful. SMCI seeing some strength here as well. Actually setting up some kind of divergence, but you see the cup, right? We see the big handle here. Good liquidity in this to actually head higher for SMCI. Really want to see the 2 hours that able to curl up. It already curled up, trying to go positive. We could see another big out of SMCI going forward. Let's just go to a 30-minute. We like our 30-minute charts. But you can see maybe Nvidia does want to consolidate. You can kind of see that from the 30-minute RSI down there that it might want to consolidate a little. Microsoft was one you got the daily expected or the weekly expected moves for on here. So we give this for free right now. Microsoft, you see it can come down to 419.56, but this right here, is it going to come down and curl back up positive territory? That's really all we're paying attention to here. See if we can go touch another point. Maybe we go ballistic, go up to 437.82. But this is held pretty strong a few times, right? So we want to pay attention to if we get towards this trend line here. If we're taking any calls or anything. Mara now up 4%. A solid move from Mara. Only we had the weekly expected moves for this, guys. So curl to the upside, a safer play would be if we test this high, you get out of the position type deal, but you can play this a little bit higher, see if we form that divergence, maybe hit something like a 24, right? Come up into some areas of resistance up in this area here could be important. I think this is pretty much a little zone for yourself right in here, where if we touch in there at all, we could see those sellers step back in. But good sign it's going higher, right? Turning up, positive territory. It hasn't even curled on this MACD yet, so we actually could get a pretty good move here from Mara. Now up almost 5%, so. What are you guys doing today? Are the keys at their daily or weekly? It's at the daily. The red is the daily. So red will always be daily, purple will always be weekly, and yellow is monthly. All right, so those are the levels we pay attention to every day, every week, and every month, right? So monthly up here, weekly right here, and then when you have daily right here. So you're already at the daily first at the open. That's why I was like, we expected this. If you watched last night's video, the Qs, most of the time I was just saying like, yeah, this is probably going to break down to here. It would make sense for this ABC pattern to really kind of play out. And then we see if we can start to build that up. So this is how I see it going higher from here if it wants to break through. So where could this land us? Well, if we just say, hey, yeah, this is going to be maybe like an ABC on this like 30-minute here. Well, where would this land us? Let's see here. We could go up towards the weekly expected move. Look at that. It almost measures out like to the T. So I would say the probability of going to the top side of the weekly expected move here from what happened this morning is actually a good sign. Because now you can spend all day doing this, and then tomorrow we can do this, and then excuse me, Wednesday we can come out and say, hey, well, we have the structure. If we get some good news, that's going to head higher. SMCI, I'm in puts soon as it hit over 1,000 3 weeks out. And SMCI, it just looks like it has some strength behind it, right? So 5% up, it's above 1,000 again. Pretty good move there. Mara now up 6% as well, just so everyone's aware of that. Thank you to whoever pointed out Mara. It looked pretty good from the just curl up in positive territory perspective. And good morning, Jeremiah. Welcome, welcome. Michael, good morning. How is Tesla up today? Well, remember, Tesla was the one that I said I would kind of stay away from in case there is upside. You do have momentum dying out on a daily scale and confirming. Now, you're not necessarily seeing a closing bar. You're still below the 200. So any bounce up here can just get rejected at any moment. But you can see down here, we have this and we have this down here. We have it on the RSI at the same time. All right. So you can see a positive move. That's why I said I'm not shorting this one. If anything, I'd short Apple. And Apple seeing another downward move as of today. Can we set up some kind of divergence with Apple as well over the next day or two? That would make some sense. Nvidia going a little bit higher here. We just want to pay attention to our weekly expected moves for this one. But you're seeing, let's see if that 15-minute is setting up. About to cross positive territory. See if this can break through the structure. That would be very bullish if we just start to, go upward from here instead of seeing resistance come in. That actually could be a good sign. So right now you're seeing single divergence right here. Do we create the triple? Right now, that is a very, very strong bar going forward. And even with all this, I still do have a hedge on the market just in case we see something very dramatic happen this week. I do have a hedge out there for any trades that I do take, because if I see some stuff curl up, I might take some calls or something like that. It really looks like the Qs from where it's at right now want to hit that top side expected move. We're seeing that kind of just reverse out from here. It's going negative, right? The 15-minute is going negative here, but you notice if that just buys back up, what would we be in? Well, this would be our higher low, right? Higher low in here. This is a high. We're going to maybe make a new high up towards that weekly expected move. So nothing too, I know it's selling early on in the day, but remember, we've been really good about keeping our emotion in check and being like, hey, I'm just going to trade the price action back and forth. But thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for liking the video, right? Liking is always very important so we can get some more people in here. You guys know I really appreciate you guys coming by. Can you please let me know what the possible range in price I should sell today? I can't give you that. Once the market opens, I can't give you anything on the semiconductors. I would just say be careful here, right? We're seeing some flagging on this, but you don't necessarily want to do your technicals on that. You want to do it on SMH, and you'd say, okay, this is down, right? But what's actually forming here is probably just some kind of flag, okay? This looks like some kind of flag to actually head higher. So we want to pay attention to anything like that, kind of something like this, and you'll see the structure to head higher here, right? We see the left shoulder. We can bounce up to this area again, get that right shoulder if we dip down, or maybe we just see something very small and we start to head upward, right? Maybe we see this kind of just complete all these, like a double cup almost, and then we get that handle and head up. So just pay attention to any upside possible here, because this is just flagging here. So I know that's a bear play on SOXS, so you just want to be a little cautious seeing this. What I'd say is the 30-minute curls up in a positive territory. Hey, this probably has another strong move left in it. Maybe it even wants to come test this high, so maybe I just want to hold off for a day or so before I buy back into that. And AMD able to buy back up pretty well here. I mean, it's starting to move back up, but I think a lot of this is going to be positivity with Nvidia if we can form some kind of 15-minute divergence up here, some across the board, right? Get us a little steeper one, right? If we just go touch up here and then start to fall down, that would be pretty good for Nvidia to see some kind of pullback. But it's Nvidia; it has the chance to just go parabolic at any moment. People are still waiting for this thing to get to 1,000, and that very well could happen this week with the weekly ranges. So on Patreon, you just go look at those weekly ranges. It'll really help you out with Nvidia this week, and you can see what it's overall pricing in. Something we could look at for fun now is max pain. We can look at the max pain real quick. Here's my max pain. Let's see, for Nvidia, let's just do that real quick. So for Nvidia this week, you're seeing a call wall start up at 950 and a put wall at 930, and we're stuck right in between that. So it's kind of like whichever way we go, if we're able to get above 950, that would be probably a bullish thing. You're going to see these people go underwater, maybe cover their shorts. But if we start to break below 930, then people might cover their calls, right? So I would pay attention to 950 and 930, just a little range in there to pay attention to. As we get above 950, see what I'm saying? Now we can see some positivity come in. So we're getting above 950 right now. Will that last throughout the day? We'll have to see, but just know all these people going underwater as of this morning. So this could just, consolidate around 950 and then start to head higher. So even though we're setting up these divergences here, just be very aware that we can see positivity in the market. AMD could start to build back up. We could see plenty of stuff go on. We have not hit any weekly expected moves as of this morning. Even AMD did not hit its weekly expected move this morning, just so you're aware. Even AMD was able to hold pretty well above it. Watch my Mara go. Yeah, we can click back on Mara real quick. Up 6% now. So now this is saying, hey, I'm curling up on this MACD. I'm most likely going higher. That's what Mara's telling you here. It's saying I might go make a point of divergence somewhere in this area. I would just be going like, hey, here's my little rectangle. What areas look important? Well, I'd say right in this area to this area here. All seems pretty important, right? So we want to pay attention to this going forward. You're about to touch in that zone. You gapped above into that zone. You use that zone as support twice in here to head higher. You used it as support to go higher from there. When you did break down, you used it again, you broke down, you used it again, you just struggled to break through it. And then once you actually did break to the downside, boom, look at that. It comes back down into negative territory here with this negative trend on the 30-minute. Divergence down here, this was actually the play, okay? So if you really wanted the play, this is it for Mara. You see this 30-minute here? I wasn't watching it at this time, but you can see last Thursday and going into that, or last Tuesday, we actually made this divergence, this double bottom here, up in pretty much in positive territory with this divergence. So you kind of had a lot of signals telling you that Mara was going to make a move higher here. And now we have to see, is this going to make some kind of ABC pattern upward from this next crossing? So I'm going to take it from the low here and say, hey, I think the maximum this could reach as of this point before it sees consolidation, if it keeps seeing that strength, about 26. But it looks pretty good. SMCI looking pretty good as well. I want to see this 2 hour. This 2 hour able to curl up, I believe. All right, let's see if that goes positive. This could mean a big move coming for SMCI. Or is it going to give us like a slanted head and shoulders? It could do that. It definitely could. We just have to see this 2 hour curl back down. That's a good sign like, hey, we're probably going to take out this low, which wouldn't be the best news for SMCI moving forward. Amazon finally seeing a tick up. Look at this 30-minute. About to, it's curling up in positive territory. This is one I would pay attention to if you're part of the Patreon. We'll most likely put videos out maybe tomorrow if things start to hit their upsides or something. But I knocked something. So we will be giving out that video over on Patreon for Patreon only. It was really, really good last week. I think we found some good trade setups. I know that I did pretty good last week. So Apple, I really think it's got a good chance actually to bounce from here. This liquidity down here, I think it's got a good chance to bounce, but the 2 hour just not looking pretty for this, right? The 2 hour looks like it could curl over, so be a little careful with Apple. Maybe I'll look at its range real quick. Let's see, Apple a little bit below this. So I know I think in the video we talked about possibly some divergence down in this area. So maybe if it goes a little bit lower, we'd pay attention to that. Nvidia 15-minute, we just want to see if it's breaking through structure. Right now, if it holds these bars, you would have a triple divergence on a 15-minute going on into today. So does it see that weakness come in tomorrow? That's really, really going to be the question moving forward. I do want to see the data we get tomorrow is durable goods. Let's see, that's expected 1% or 0.7. And then the one I'm really paying attention to, though, is Thursday. The GDP growth rate, that could be positive news for the market, and core PCE. So we're seeing some mixed signals across the board here. We're actually seeing Nvidia look like it wants to die out as of today, which is kind of interesting as the Qs are, down towards its daily expected move. So we have to see, is Nvidia just going to fake us out with these divergences? I don't necessarily know at this point. We'd have to see if that's going to actually play out. And roll over to the downside. See if it can roll over this hourly. But this is kind of where we would probably be a little bit cautious on Nvidia. Now, it's not towards its weekly. Its weekly's way up there, guys. So, take it with a grain of salt. These divergences up here, you're not towards any weekly expected moves or anything like that. But you do notice the divergences right here. Already sold socks, really hard to short it. Were you shorting socks or were you shorting, you mean shorting semiconductors? Yeah, it's very hard because they're the ones in the bubble. So, the bubble continues until it pops. All right, so it's very hard to short things like Nvidia, short things like, unless you're being very tactical, right? We see these big divergences here. We play the drop, we're out. We make, 50%. Boom, we see that go up. And then we see that curl down. We see some basing out here. We knew the 30-minute was curling up, positive territory, 2 hour curling up. Like, it's just very difficult to short until it pops. Now you can use it as like you can use it as a way to hedge, just be like, hey, it looks like the bubble's going to pop over the next 2 months. So I'm going to take out a position on maybe even SOXS for, a couple months. That would make more sense. Morning, brother. Morning, Alan. Same name as my dog, I tell you. Thank you for liking the video. I saw someone just liked it. Saw a little heart pop up. Tesla C giving away those gains as of right now, just filling that gap, seeing some weakness. But this is kind of what you want to see, even on a shorter time frame. Cup, if this can hold as a handle, even though it's kind of steep at this point. Just want to pay attention to that. Nvidia still going to higher levels at this point. Oh, baby girl, sad. Mara still looking good. It might want to consolidate for a minute, but this, it's looking pretty good here. Now, one thing that would be interesting for Mara, just so you know, Matthew, is if it creates a divergence in this zone. Remember, this is where we sold off from, we bought back up from, we bought back up from. So sellers will be in this area, right? This can turn into a resistance zone at this point. Look for if there's some kind of divergence up here. You don't have a weekly range or anything like that, but I can tell you this is a strong move for a smaller stock. So this could just die out somewhere around that 24. You want to pay attention to if anything confirms up in this area. We could be seeing Mara head a little bit lower, okay? But as of right now, curling up positive territory, you got to say, hey, it's probably going to test this higher, go make a new one. We're seeing that positivity continue to be there. So Microsoft, the one I pay attention to, right? We gave you that weekly expected move for Microsoft this week, seeing if we want to add it to the Patreon. But we're seeing that break down. Is it going to break down a little bit more before we see that positivity come in? It's definitely possible. So it's important to pay attention, but the Qs, seeing that buy back up, look at that. Oh, yeah. We can look at ARM. Ooh, ARM, seeing a good break to the upside. Let's look at a 2-hour here. Able to go positive at this point. Pretty good sign. Let's see a daily chart here. If this daily can curl up, okay, it looks like some positivity could come. You're breaking to the upside out of this this nice little continuation triangle. So this looks actually a lot like Nvidia, and this is what I'm saying Nvidia could do. But we could be getting a surge in ARM, right? And then we see that divergence actually set up here. So pay attention to divergences if this continues strength throughout this week, but you're very tight on these Bollingers. This is breaking to the upside. You could see some positivity come in with ARM this week. So we can measure that out for you, though. We can see, hey, how far is this? You know, I don't use these measured moves very often, but you could just, you know, for yourself use it. I don't have a range or anything like that. So you can say like 185 is where we really expect resistance to come in, but this is kind of just a, you know, there's no 200, but this is a swing trader's dream, tight Bollinger Bands, crossing above the moving averages, getting a buy signal. If this crosses up into positive territory, it's going to be a very good sign that ARM's actually going to head higher here. Hey, who was that? Who did it? Jeremy Kiefer, thank you so much for subscribing this morning. Really do appreciate it. Oh yeah, okay. So this is something that's been interesting for a while here. Boeing, actually seeing divergence down here. You kind of have flatness of the RSI, but an upward, slightly upward on the MACD here. So this is where I was like, yeah, you can get some kind of bounce, but you're still below the 200, so you have to treat this as some kind of bounce, right? So that's what I would say here. If I wanted to go into shorter time frames, I would go into a 2-hour, see if I see anything here. And what this would tell me from the 2-hour perspective, I don't necessarily get into anything when the 2-hour looks like this. This is, I use the 2-hour to find positions in the 30-minute. So you're right at the center line here. If this just curls over, then you create that divergence. This would be a better setup for you. Just hopping in right now is kind of like, yeah, it could go higher, but I'd really like to see that momentum dying out with that daily divergence. So that's just my trading style, but totally understand, like this is a pretty good level, right? We've leveled out from here before, but I just want you to notice all the divergence we had down at this level, right? We see that divergence getting us really close to positive territory. That would just be better if we could do something like this. That would be a little bit better. Boeing CEO just resigned. Well, that might actually put some downward pressure. Or maybe people see that as positive news. You never know. Apple able to stay negative on this 2-hour. So looking for some kind of divergence down here or daily divergence to set up over the next few days. Amazon still seeing that strength. We can keep that going. Mara up almost 7% now, going up towards 23. Let's go look at this one. This one looks pretty decent. Like, look at that. Look at that break to the upside. Maybe you get a retest or something like that, but that's a pretty good sign. All right, guys, my girls are awake. So I'm going to turn on Bloomberg for you for a moment and go say hi, okay? I got to say hi to my baby girl and my big girl. All right, make sure you like that video for me, okay? This is a great opportunity to like that for me. Let's go over to the Qs. Or actually, let's go to Nvidia. I'll leave you guys on there to watch this at this point. See if we're violating anything. Look at that. See, we're breaking through to the upside. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. If we start to violate this, then these divergences can just be meaningless, and we can start to consolidate at higher levels. So just watch this for a moment, see if that actually holds, and then let me know when I come back if it actually was able to hold. And I'm going to look up some Bloomberg for you guys to listen to while I'm gone for just a couple of minutes here.
So accustomed to using social media apps as free because our data is what they use for targeting. If you don't want to be tracked, you have to pay Meta, and I think that's
the dip is over. Very well might be.
Users.
So I love Mandeep cuts through it, right?
Yeah,
like
right,
now I get it. All right, Mandeep, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it, Mandeep Singh, joining us from Bloomberg Intelligence. Let's get back to that Boeing news. That stock up over 1%. The CEO stepping down and an overhaul of upper management as well as some people on the board. There's only really one person at Bloomberg to go to if it's not Brooke Sutherland, and that's Guy Johnson. He covers the airline industry for Bloomberg and Bloomberg TV and radio, and he joins us now from London. Guy, I remember, I don't know, a year ago, was it, when you went up to Boeing headquarters in Seattle? You spent a lot of time with Dave Calhoun, really getting deep into how they manage their business and their growth plans, etc. What was your reaction to the news today?
Not a lot of surprise, Alex. This has been a crisis that has been building and building and building. Remember, it was 5 years ago that we had those twin crashes that killed so many people. Since then, the MAX has never really been on track. Now, Dave Calhoun was not running the business at that point, but he was on the board. And the crisis just has never really gone away. And we had the blowout window this morning, not this morning, we had the blowout window earlier on this year, January the 5th. That's just the latest problem that this company has been facing. It clearly has a safety culture issue. It was something that was getting more and more problematic for customers, Ryanair, United, these kinds of customers, big customers, and as a result of which the pressure simply became too great. And it was also coming from regulators, and it was also coming from politicians. But here we are with Boeing. You've got Dave Calhoun stepping down, but not going to the end of the year, and he's going to have a say potentially in replacing his successor. They've got a lame duck CEO at a time when they need leadership right now, and I'm wondering whether Dave Calhoun, what role he is going to be ultimately playing. Stan Deal has gone already, but they're replacing him with an insider, Stephanie Pope, who ultimately could end up running this company. I don't know, but at the moment, Boeing is nowhere good still.
Guy, from what I've read over the last several years about Boeing here, and it seems like at some period in the past 10, 15, 20 years ago, there's a subtle but noticeable shift in focus on engineering to maybe greater focus on profitability. And if that's in fact the case, it doesn't sound like a fix is any even short or intermediate term. How do you think about the timing?
So in some ways they are trying to address this issue. So remember that there are talks now underway with Spirit, which was part of that process to focus on the financials rather than the engineering. Boeing effectively became a sales company. It became a final assembly company. It tried to spin out lots of different parts of the business further down the supply chain. Spirit was a big chunk of that. That did clearly not work. So they're now trying to fix that problem and refocus on engineering. But it's going to take a long time for that culture to change, and it's interesting that the machinists are now asking for a seat on the board. They feel that they need to have a say on this story going forward, and whether or not you can now replace any of these senior people with internal candidates, I think is a really big question, which raises the question of who could replace them.
Yes, yeah, exactly what the short list winds up looking like, because you're absolutely right. If you go internal, and Stephanie Pope is a COO, and now she'll run the commercial airlines unit, what signal does that have? But if you go outside, like who is that person?
So there's a few names floating around, Alex. One of them is Pat Shanahan, who is currently running Spirit, but he's ex-Boeing. So that's a little bit problematic in itself. But Dave Calhoun apparently did mention him this morning. So maybe he's potentially one candidate. The candidate that everybody's talking about this morning is Larry Culp over at GE.
Oh,
but here's the problem. Here's the problem with Larry. He doesn't want the job, apparently. And here's the reason why. He's just come out of a crisis at GE. He's just put GE basically kind of back on its feet. Does he really want to deal with another crisis? GE is also a in a completely different place to Boeing right now. It's in a good place, and in some ways it is a bigger, better company than Boeing is right now. So why would he want to swap one for the other? Why would you want to take on a job where you've got a problem with your customers, you've got a problem with your staff, you've got a problem with the regulators, you've got problems pretty much all the way across the board?
Right.
Interesting. Thanks, Guy.
That's great.
No help for the weary, this guy. He was on late with me on Friday. He's a hard worker. GE stock is flat, considering that. I mean, we're definitely watching that. That's an interesting throw-out name. I hadn't thought about that. This is Bloomberg.
Alright, why are we playing these weird tunes? Come on, guys. Alright, someone did subscribe. I saw that. DRK. Dark Sid Trader. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining the channel. We are back. Had to say hi to my girls. You guys know how it is. You gotta say good morning to the gals, you know? Nvidia on the move. This is that violation now. You still do have that potential for that divergence, but I 15-minute divergence. This is why I don't pay attention to 15-minute too much unless it's coming outside of a daily expected move, a weekly expected move. What you'd really like to see is 30-minute ones. 30-minute ones are a little bit better. And you're seeing that it could top out at any moment here. So you want to be a little careful. But we know, because on Patreon, we know these weekly ranges. We know we could see a very strong move from Nvidia. So that's when you want to look at the higher time frames. 2 hour, we could see some kind of divergence form up here. That would make some sense. Let's go look at the daily. Daily, we could see this cross up, and maybe we get that small divergence we were talking about for a couple days here. So we could get some kind of small divergence up in this area on the daily scale. Curling up, maybe we get that divergence. Shoot, it looks like weakness is coming, though. If it's going to come with these divergences, right? We've violated so many divergences in the past with NVIDIA because it's just parabolic. It's the bubble, right? So, but we would have a ton of divergences at this level. So if we make a move above 1,000, be a little bit cautious on this one. Hey, your Mara play looks pretty good. SMCI seeing that move higher. Look at that thing. Look at that thing go. Let's see how AMD is able to hold up. AMD actually about to go positive again. Look at that. Bitcoin, oh wait, that's the shorts. Bitcoin shorts dropping off. We don't want to do Bitcoin shorts. We want Bitcoin. This is overall the daily scale. I was thinking maybe a divergence could form here as well. So this is a good, swing trader's dream right here. Buy signal above all the moving averages, above the 200. Crosses on the MACD. Well, boom, we can see Bitcoin go up for a few days here. How high will that go? Well, at this point, you could say this could be a full ABC pattern, right? We could see this thing go even higher, but sometimes these moves at the top are a little bit shorter. So I would say maybe look for this to cup and handle. Maybe we measure in between here. We'll do that when the time actually comes. Mara, look at that move. Strong, maybe curling up on the daily here. We could see a positive move. Just be careful with this one, right? The 30-minute divergence that can form in this zone would be pretty important. So this is a good move, though, from Mara, I have to admit. Amazon with a strong move as well, right? 30-minute, seeing that divergence show up possibly. That's when on Patreon we want to go look at those weekly expected moves. Okay, Amazon has a little bit of room to the upside here, okay? So we have a little bit of room to the upside for Amazon. Is that going to confirm past these highs? We'll have to see. Microsoft, this is one that we gave you those weekly ranges for. We haven't touched them just yet, but you have come down a pretty good amount. You have that 30-minute divergence up in this area. So we want to see if that's able to curl over any 2-hour. Look at that 2-hour divergence in this area, kind of confirming now. But in the short term, you can see an upward move and then get that to fall. We know that stocks like to trick us out, right? So AMD, we're finally seeing some strength out of this guy. That's good to see. Meta, this is one I'm paying attention to up here. This is one we just added to the Patreon for those weekly ranges. And then Google, another one I wanted to watch up in this level because had some 30-minute here that says this could be like a double top. But now that Nvidia is able to break through there on this 15-minute, we could see if it's able to just consolidate upward, like kind of consolidate sideways, consolidate down a little, and just keep that going up. So I'm going to erase this for now. Maybe it's better to just clone this bad boy. See if we're in some kind of channel here. Yeah, you could say something like that, possibly in this channel like this going up. I just don't think that's really that useful of info. Tesla, one to pay attention to, starting to die down. This is where the 15-minute can cross. We can break this low here. Really want to see the 30-minute though. See if this can go positive. That's when you'll probably see a bigger pop from Tesla moving forward. Amazon still testing that level. Nvidia going a little bit higher. AMD building back up. Getting positive on the 30-minute. Good sign. But is AMD... are things going to really push to 1,000 or are they going to break down first? That's kind of what... we have to think is going on. If we have to think of both sides, right? So as of right now, we're seeing on Palo Alto, well, this could be cup and handle to add higher, but if we look at like a 2-hour or something like that, yeah, it's curled up. You see it could curl down into negative territory here. We do have left head, right shoulder, curl down negative territory. That could mean we're going to take this out, head lower back into this zone down here. So we do have potential for Palo Alto to head lower here. But we also have the potential for this to just scoop up and keep going higher. So we have to pay attention to a little bit of both sides of the coin here. Daily, we want to see what's going on with that. Still green as of this moment, but you're down in negative territory. So just be a little bit cautious with this one. It could make a dip down first, and then we see that explode up. I'm wondering what volatility is doing. It's really starting to taper off here. I want to see if it makes a solid divergence for me by end of day. Like, I wonder if this pop is enough to just create another point of divergence kind of between these lows here, come down into this area, curl back up and go positive. That could be a good sign for volatility to come around the corner, which would be very interesting right before, GDP and all that good stuff. One that you guys, what were you looking at? What were you guys looking at? We can look at ARM a few times today. This one did look like a decent trade. We're seeing that fall off as of right now. See if this can break to the upside even more, maybe get a retest, then we want to do that. But looking pretty good for ARM. Kind kind of a mixed bag out there, though. You're seeing stocks that really look like they want to turn down or the momentum's dying. Even Nvidia, the momentum's dying, right? But then you're also seeing like AMD at really low levels that could really start to buy back up and push higher. So there's a lot going on. SMCI pushing higher, so we're just seeing some moves that could actually promote some upside here. IWM, one to pay attention to, about to curl up possibly in positive territory here. See if it can break through this high, create that divergence going on into a few days. The reason I'm talking about divergences creating, by the way, like even on the Qs or something like that, if this breaks to the upside and breaks up to here, is because what if we get this right before GDP or something like that, and then we see that fall? You want to pay attention if you're making any divergences outside these areas, like before a big event. Sure, I got my headphones on. Goofy thumbnail. Thanks, Lo-Fi. Etsy? Etsy. Let's look at it. I haven't looked at Etsy in a while. Ooh, okay. Etsy. This is a 2-hour play, most likely. All right, so here you go. You want to see when Tesla or when Etsy is going to get a bounce? It's if it forms a 2-hour divergence. I think Etsy gets a bounce. I'll just say that. So if we can come down a little bit lower or get some kind of double bottoming here on this 2-hour, then you could see a prolonged move for a few days. You can see it's consolidating in a few ways here, right? Or it's really just price getting tight in a few ways is the better way to put it. So you have this right here. You have this base down here, so you don't really want to break through that very much, right? And then you can also see in the very recent price action, you got this going on here. So you are getting tight in this overall pattern here. We could see a break to the upside. I would just see if there's a 2-hour divergence first. Like if we make some quick move out of this and quick move back in, good sign that we're actually going to head higher. And this is the current tapering, so you want to see like this. Like we could come out like that, ride this, and then see that curl back up. But yeah, if you're talking about a good level to buy at for Etsy, I can tell you that in the past, right? We bought up from this level before, like right around that $67 mark. Boom, we see that explode. So totally understand your thinking there. I just draw this up, see if it's able to break to the upside. Nvidia still seeing that strength come through. Look at that. About to make a new all-time high. Good thing we know exactly where this thing is supposed to go. We are not going to do anything with that. I just want the show to begin. Ooh, Bitcoin. Look at that move up higher. Bitcoin. That's probably why Mara's seeing that bounce too, right? Mara kind of follows that. Ooh, rejection. Okay. Starting to reject right when we touch that area. Look at this wick. Look at this wick. You didn't think that zone was important. Look at this. Boom. If we get that rejection coming into here, maybe we consolidate a little bit more, right? But you also have the potential to fully reject, maybe on like a 1 hour or 2 hour, see that curl over and go negative. So this actually is not the best sign to reject from here. You wanted to see more strength. "30-minute divergences maybe forming on Netflix here too. Interesting." It just genuinely looks like there wants to be a move higher in a lot of these stocks before we start to break down. All right, let's see what you guys think, though. What do you guys think is going to happen by end of day? I sold all my crypto last night. Maybe dumb, but I'm happy with my gains over the last 5 years and felt good taking some risk off the table. Yeah, I mean, at some point, taking profit is just a good thing for you. And you have to say, Bitcoin at this level, like, there is potential to head higher, right? The daily, we showed you guys this, curling up, positive territory. We can see a big move higher. Is that going to happen at the same time as Nvidia going above 1,000? Then we see that ripped away. Something bad comes out right as these things hit above 1,000. That does happen. I really still think, and we've talked about it for a while, that if we do come up and hit 1,000, if we get over it, we're going to see that wick out really, really strong. I think 1,000 is going to be a huge point for us. And you just look here, 1,000 is a big, big call wall. So people might start to take profit on that later on this week. So if we do get some kind of move upward, just be a little bit careful there. Is my screen blurry? Always opportunity for a play. Smart move to always take profits. Yeah, it's always good to take your profit, especially when you've been in it for 5 years. That's great. Take your profit and then just look for the next trade. It's like, that's kind of what we're saying on this channel. And I think it's working for a lot of people, right? Trade like water. Take your profit a little bit early in an environment like this. It really helps. Matthew, I don't have anyone saying it's blurry yet. I'm sorry if it is. Maybe just reload. Sometimes when people reload or put it on 720 instead of 1080, that can help you out a little bit. Let's see what's going on here. Frank says it's not blurry, guys. Okay. Oh, Mara, darn it. Gosh, if Mara isn't able to cross up here, that's going to be a bummer. But I'm sitting on my hands, guys. I'm not really taking any plays. I'm going to sit on my hands till I see an actual good setup this week. I mean, there's some good setups, right, for upside. I'm not saying that. I just think that once Nvidia starts to approach that 1,000, I have to be a little bit cautious, ready to move pretty quick. So I'm just going to be a little bit patient here. And one to really watch is actually Microsoft. I really like this setup here. This is one I've been really thinking about, looking to enter a position at some point. I just think it might have one more push left in it. I know I'm crazy for thinking that, but this 30-minute just curls up again, positive territory. Like I said, I would really like to see another move higher by, a big news drop. So a move higher by a news drop can kind of tell me, oh, maybe that news is going to come out as bad for the market, or at least position myself with the probabilities, right? If Microsoft's up in this area up here and I have divergences before that news comes out, well, sure, that could be good news, but maybe that's actually digested. People sell that off like a sell the news thing. So once we start to get up in this area, I'll look at Microsoft. If we are able to get up there, we create something small. Just how I look at things, and then I can also take a hedge to the other side in case that news is pretty good for the overall market. But just seeing Nvidia here just climb and climb and climb, staying above 950, right? We talked about 950, going to be very important to stay above there. People have puts down here, big put walls down in this area. So that could tell us, hey, these people are underwater, and on Nvidia, you go underwater fast. Okay, so you have to be very, very careful. There's the Qs building back up. Let's see what happens there. SPY, kind of looking a little flaggy here for the SPY. I know the Qs are a little bit more, upward like this, so that's not too worrisome. But the SPY here looking a little bit flaggy. Maybe it does actually want to break down a little bit further today. Apple, starting to see that die out. Look at that 2-hour divergence coming out of Apple at this moment. I mean, so if you're thinking about taking a play, you can at least watch Apple. It's not outside of its weekly expected. Well, let me go look at that. Let's go look at this stuff. Yeah, it's not outside of its weekly expected move or anything like that. Just a good little trade setup possibly forming. But just remember, this has to confirm first. because this hasn't confirmed yet. So you do have that divergence, but until that actually curls up on both the MACD and RSI, you don't necessarily have that guaranteed any positivity to come. Tesla is starting to roll over, maybe going to go negative in a second on this 2 hours, or on the 30-minute here, so pay attention to that. But Apple on the 30-minute looks like it could roll up the 2 hour. Where's the 2 hour at? Well, it's down in this area where it could be creating, some kind of divergence. If it just heads a little bit lower, we actually would have that double bottom down here. But this could be your higher low scenario, and we actually could see an upward move from Apple going forward, at least over the next couple days, right? The 30-minute, at least over the next couple days, we could see a little something happen here. Do 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 do. Sorry. Oh my God, I was just singing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star" into the mic. Oh God, it's over. Ari's asking right now if we can go to a concert for "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star." No, Ari, no concerts till you're older, and you can move that head around real good. All right, so Apple, one thing to pay attention to here, just that divergence that could be forming here on the 30-minute. A lot of the time, the 30-minute does want to curl up that 2 hours, so we could see some strength out of this. Does that come, get some kind of retest, and then we get rejected from this area again? That's possible. Do we just come up to this area and see that fail, really confirm a head and shoulders actually closing below this level on a 2 hour scale? But we could see some positivity come from Apple going forward. Tesla, I mean, this thing, it needs the 2 hour to stay positive. You see when that fades down, we're going back negative. That can be a bad sign for Tesla, moving forward. Nvidia still sitting up at 960 level at this point. 2 hour about to curl over on the Qs. This is the one thing we said to the bear side to pay attention to if we actually confirm this, right? Divergence, the double top up in here, divergence up in here. So you have multiple point divergence on the Qs at this level. If that wants to continue selling off, you can confirm this down, goes negative. You're probably going to break through this level. So at this point, I'm really leaning towards we're going to hold up here. We're going to go actually higher, maybe touch the top side weekly expected move by Thursday. And then on Thursday, we actually see that kind of top out a little bit. And maybe on Friday, we actually get some bad news. We actually do have some news coming out on Friday. While the market is closed, we do have core PCE. Okay, so core PCE comes out, and that's interesting that we'll be closed that day. So no one will be able to really react to that news. All right, 15-minute here. If that can curl up and go positive, this is where we could see that positivity come in. But we know, if we look at really short ones, since we are looking on the daily, well, what if the 5-minute does this, and then you see that trade set up down in this area? So this is what I'll be maybe looking for. Thought my mic was muted for a sec. But if this just wants to, it can just curl up and start to break out of this kind of, flagging downward. Oh my gosh, where's my chat? Where's my chat, guys? I haven't talked to you. Okay, Unimore, good morning. If you don't mind, can you please take a look at coin? I love the way people are asking questions today. Like one person came in and was kind of rude to me, and then I was a dick back, and then now everyone's so nice when they ask for things. I know. It's funny, but I'm cool with it. I like it better that way. All right, good morning. If you can take a look at coin. So coin might see positivity just because Bitcoin's seeing that positivity come in. Where's coin? Am I blind? There it is. Coin, so you see that 10% move. Okay, so now you have to be aware 30-minute divergence forming up here could not be the best sign for coin, but I want to show you guys something. Even though you see this 30-minute here, we notice cup, big cup, get that handle. We notice head and shoulders across the way here, we actually could see that positivity come in. So maybe we want to look on a bigger scale here. Daily, able to curl up, positive territory, curl up on the MACD. Maybe we get some kind of push going on this week and we see that fade. Okay, so we want to pay attention to what Bitcoin can do with coin. We're seeing Bitcoin curl up. It's got a little room here, so coin can run a little bit. That's what I would say about coin. I'd really follow Bitcoin technicals. Once Bitcoin sets up maybe some kind of divergence up here, you can say, hey, maybe I want to take profit on this. Or maybe you just want to say, you know, I'm not going to short this because it's very hard to short. But you could say like, hey, this needs some kind of pullback in this area, so I'm just going to wait for consolidation. Good trade, though. Coin up 10% now. This is one that we actually saw the trade set up, and I was like, damn it, I need to look at more stocks, I swear. Because I need to bounce over to coin every once in a while, because this right here is a great trade setup from how I do things, right? We get a divergence really close to positive territory. We see that curl up. What do? We see the 2 hour curl up into positive territory. That confirms we can see a higher move. So really, I would have been in this position like here. Boom, there's your profit taking. So you could have been in this move. I only wish I would have seen it sooner. Mara still starting to fade down from there, even though it looked good a second ago. Not looking that good anymore, right? We reject off that. Still can get that strength, though. We're seeing a lot of stocks that look like they might want to head even higher, even Nvidia here. Visa. Oh, yeah, that's right. We had some people asking about Visa. I always forget that it's just V. Let's see. I mean, as far as Visa goes, I'm not seeing any reason for this to bounce besides just oversold, coming up into an area of liquidity, right? Coming down into an area of liquidity. So we just want to see, is anything you guys, we don't, at least my rule, I don't take calls on anything like this. That's crossed over on the MACD here. Could head much lower. You're very tight. You could start that series of lower highs and lower lows. You can. So this is not something you want to mess with. You have a lot of divergence up here. Just confirmed. Now you can get that reaction up. We can look at a shorter time frame like a 2 hour and say, hey, this is still positive territory. If it wants to curl up, we can see this high tested, right? See this curl up, positive territory. But I would be very, very cautious with Visa. Like very cautious with Visa going forward. Apple, let's see if that 30-minute divergence is actually forming here. Looks like as of right now, we're trying to just remain at lower levels, so you're not really seeing a vertical response. You do have you have this divergence on the MACD, which is good. We can go positive, but you do have flatness on the RSI, which just tells me, hey, this could be some kind of retest, some kind of pullback, and then that actually heads lower. So we just want to pay attention to this moving forward. Sorry, she's crying. I'll give you guys a sec. Nvidia, we just want to see, is this going to hold up? You know, with this divergence up here, with this triple divergence up here, is this going to hold up at higher levels, or are we going to see that break down right now? As of right now, I wouldn't bet against it just because of a 15-minute divergence. Once we start to set up 2 hours and things like that, you can say, hey, well, over the next month, we have good chance of lower prices and at least some kind of pullback over the next few weeks. But until that happens, right, we see the 30-minute. This could just consolidate up here, right? We could just consolidate, even come down like this, see that curl back up. So I'm not going to be betting against this until I see it really get above 1,000. That's when I'll start to be like, okay, now it seems like an obvious thing. And if that does that early on in the week, I don't want to get caught in it where it just starts to explode and then I get caught on the wrong end. My girls are about to peace out, so I'm going to say bye to them real quick. I'm going to turn you guys on Bloomberg just for a moment as they're talking about yields.
Put out these loans in a time frame. So like if you want them, you got to get them. And I've been talking to other people as well who say there's not enough projects. Like we're definitely going to spend money in areas where we shouldn't because we're just not. The time frame isn't really working in the same way. It's like cut a check, go for it.
So they're going to build a bridge to nowhere type thing for energy.
They'll build bridges. Some might go somewhere and some might go to nowhere. But should that be the case, or should you put some of those bridges and like you give it a little bit more time and see if something else can come up? But anyway, I'm into it.
Hey, Nathan, just what we're seeing in Congress with Mr. Johnson trying to, in order to get the House in order, the House majority, he's working with the Democrats. And I know Marjorie Taylor Greene has put out a suggestion that maybe it's time for him to be removed from power. But it seems like that's the only way to get anything done these days. Can he survive?
I think it's a big question, but the answer is that he's been doing a lot of what we've seen other Republican speakers do over the last few years. It's one thing to say that you're going to try and stop, legislation from appearing and so forth like that. It's another thing to actually do it when you're in power. And so what we've seen is Speaker Johnson has said, look,
politics, guys, politics. Yeah, that's what we want to hear all day. Politics. Let's do that. Let's see what's going on here. We could create another point of divergence with AMD, but it really looks like things are either consolidating, maybe consolidating, getting a little bit of a dip, but not necessarily making a fully negative trend. We'll see if this 30-minute can curl for Microsoft, Google, consolidating sideways at this point, even with the divergences. This isn't breaking through this gap level down here. Really pay attention to this on Google. We might add a bunch of these to the Patreon. I'm just waiting. It does take me some time, so I'm seeing if we get some members to come in, once I hit some like maybe 10 more members or something like that, I'll start to add things like Microsoft and Google, and we'll keep adding to it as long as the community continues to grow. Just because, it does take up some of my time, and it's not necessarily 100% worth it right now for me to spend hours on creating those ranges. So, I mean, if you're nice about it and you ask for a range and I already have it made, of course, I'll give it to you if you're on Patreon. But Q's here. Let's see if this can push up. Look at this flag. Man, it really looks like there's some upside across the board here. I really think we have a good shot to test this. I'm still open to downside, right? I'm not saying I'm not paying attention to this 2 hour able to curl over, go negative. But as we are approaching this, that would be a good fake out going into some big news at the end of the week. Apple finally starting to see a little bit buying up. Let's see if this 30 minutes come into anything. We'll see if this is able to get a strong move. I'm like, oh, a little bit buying up. It's literally like the tiniest green bar in the world. But how are you guys doing? What are your guys? Oh, Reddit. Oh, shoot, you guys. I knew someone typed that right as I entered. Oh my God. Okay, look at this price action. Okay, so what we can see from here is a double bottom, cup and handle. No, we got to look at a really short time frame here. This is actually pretty interesting. So this is moving 45 to 51, 6 points at a time. So if like this crosses down, some people would just trade this range. It's going bonkers right now. Yeah, 10% in an hour and 15. Like that's a solid move. Will I be trading Reddit at all? Who can answer that for me? Will I be trading this at all? What do you guys think? What buy seller indicator are you using? It's just this one here. I've used it for like years and years. SMA 950 180. I switched that to a 200, and then I have the 20 there. I can tell you right now, guys, like just you want to have reasons to take a trade, not just following a buy signal. No way. Yeah, good job. Good job. Yeah, I do not trade anything with this little price action. I don't trade IPOs. I don't do anything like that. I don't trade penny stocks. Ooh, AMD, look at that. Look at AMD, guys. Oh, if you're a good boy and you took a trade, with this 3 weeks out or a month out like Lucas does, look at this. Now we can get into this. We can scale back in because this move, it's really hard to sell right here because it just gapped down to this level. But I can add to that position just a one or two, just a couple contracts to see what happens here. I can play up to this gap now. So that's very, very cool. This is a scary trade though, right? This is a very scary trade to be in because this could have escalated, but we're seeing that buy back up. I wasn't necessarily convinced that that's going to break down further, but you always have to be open to it. Add a couple contracts. That's actually what happened there. Mara, how's Mara looking now? Still got that slight rejection. I really think some positivity can come from Mara, though. I'm not convinced. Coin almost have a full 10% now. Look at that move. That is so good. Pay attention when this 2-hour crosses back down, but really still want to pay attention to Bitcoin for the most part. Goddamn, I don't know if it's like my scroll wheel or something. Was just asking. No, I get you. I get you, Patricia. I think that's how we'll say it. Yeah, it looks like AMD started to cross up. I invested in Reddit, but Wall Street Bets is trying to get it lower. Oh. Really follow Wall Street Bets anymore. I looked at that for a little while, but I never got into anything. Yeah. Girl. Oh, guys, last night I actually got some sleep. But if you know, she has really, really bad acid reflux. We think she has like a milk allergy or something. So now we're trying to cut all dairy. And if you know anything about my wife, she loves cheese. I mean, I feel like every female on the planet just loves cheese, and she's very upset. She's not allowed to eat like macaroni and cheese anymore. I made 10% this morning. Congrats, Josh. We like to hear it. That's what we like to see. What do I gotta say? Maybe I should put that on a t-shirt. Just bitches love cheese. I would wear that shirt. I love cheese. Cheese, wine, and drunk chicken nuggets. All right, you want your girlfriend to love you. Whenever you're just out and you think, oh man, you just see a bottle of wine randomly, not for a special occasion. You see cheese randomly, you see wine randomly, or you just pass by McDonald's and you know she's wasted. Chicken nuggets. I'm dead serious. Probably get laid. Anyway. Chick-fil-A nuggets. Okay, that's some bougie stuff. Let's see Tesla. That's not good, guys. This is starting to be a little bit bad. Starting to be a little bit bad. That is a wick. Now we know that people did get out of Tesla to go into the Nvidias. So the funny thing that could happen here is Tesla breaks down for a couple days. Nvidia goes and hits 1,000 for a couple of days. Then we see that drop off and we actually see a pop out of Tesla. So that'd be very, very interesting going forward. Another one you want to pay attention to as it is down towards a possible double bottom, towards trying to make a higher low at this point. It does look relatively weak, but you can see we do have a little bit of consolidation or a little bit of divergence down here on the 30-minute if we can get Apple to cross up as well. I think we're hearing how your baby was made. All right, guys, we're not going to talk about that. The stork brought my baby, and that's the end of it. Just like the Grinch, she just flew in, and we took her off the roof, and because she didn't land on our front door because she's like the Grinch. So she landed on the roof. We had to pull her down, and now she's here. All right, let's see. Let's watch Apple for a minute. Let's see if we can see a little bit of strength here, because if this breaks down a little bit further, that wouldn't be the best news. And actually, let's click through, see if any 30 minutes, if we like literally just watch for these 30 minutes to curl up, and there's a good shot we're going to hit the top side range of a lot of these. Maybe not Microsoft. Microsoft, you know, this beat down a little further. It wasn't able to hold its consolidation. I'd pay attention to that trend line I got there. Google, this thing still looks strong. We just want to break through this level, close above it. You can see an upward move. Maybe we'll have to add Google to that list we're watching there for Patreon, right? We want to maybe do those ranges for that. SMCI, strong move. Is it going to hold? We'll have to see. Mara, strong move, but we're seeing it reject as of now. So Mara, what you can do is just if this goes negative, if this 30-minute goes negative, it'll probably cross through this low. You probably don't want to take much upside to this, or at least, you know, short, like get your position a little smaller, because unless this thing sees strength over the next hour, you could see it have some weakness over the next hour, and that could be like, hey, negative territory, we want to go down, which would be interesting, but I don't really see that fully happening. Finally, look at this 30-minute. We've been waiting since how long? Not even here. We've been waiting since March 11th for this thing to fully go positive, and we're actually creeping into positive territory right now for AMD. It took like 24 days for this to finally go positive. Oh, Boeing CEO resigned or something. Right? Didn't someone say that this morning? Yeah, Boeing. He resigned this morning. Now the VIX still want to pay attention to this this like triangle we're in. If it wants to break down lower, I'm just looking for a 30-minute divergence down here. That's why I'm saying we could see an upward move for a couple of days and then see volatility really start to pick up. So just really pay attention to that. But there you go. There's some positivity from Apple coming forward. Let's just watch this for just a moment here. Actually, let's see. We can go over to the Qs in a moment as well. Make sure that's still holding up. Maybe going to go positive or something like that. Dang, AMD, look at that. Look at that. Actually going green after being down, what, 2-3% this morning? That is some buy the dippers if I've ever seen. How's everyone's trades going out there today? What are you guys holding out there? What do you guys think is going to happen? I really do see some potential for upside, but we're in the middle of these ranges, guys, so I'm not really giving trade setups. I'm just stating how things could head higher, how they could head lower. Right now, you're seeing with even Amazon here, this could just be a big handle, right? We could be cup and handling. We could actually see it go higher, but I'm only going to start to talk about trade setups on Patreon once we actually see them hit those ranges. So we'll have to give you those videos throughout the week. Make sure to probably give that video out on like Wednesday or Thursday just to state during market hours, like, hey, be a little careful. We do get PC on Friday, which could be interesting. Oh, yeah, and you can't enter the trade. And what you can do is like you can set those limit orders and things like that. I mean, I've done that before, but you have to overall just say like if you're finding the trade setup with the actual like structure, right? So if we're seeing Apple and we're seeing this, 30-minute divergence and I say, oh, I want to take a play when this crosses. Well, if it sees a big move, all you need to know is there's still strength in that move, right? It's a good move higher. You're crossing over. It's actually getting you into positive territory. You can still take that. You just might not make like a full 100, 200%. You might have to be like, all right, once I touch this zone, I'm just going to get out, make my 50%. But if you want to get the best prices, you would go 30-minute, right? I know this is crazy, but you could go 5-minute. So a lot of the time, you'll see a lot of divergences at the same time. If you want to get the super micro here, it would be like, okay, well, right now you have cup, maybe handle on the 5-minute. But if this wanted to break down again, I see divergence and that confirms, then I can say, okay, I'll enter a position here even before that 30-minute does confirm. I don't do that too often. Just because 5 minutes are kind of unreliable. But if I really think a move is going to happen and I want a good position, I might do that. The market is closed on Friday. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's why I really want to put out a video on Patreon just kind of talking about that. I got really quiet all of a sudden. It's like it's like you guys, my girls are gone, and if you know, my daughter has serious acid reflux, like really bad. She's a little munchkin, but my goodness, she's like hawking loogies sometimes. So she cries a decent amount. Like we can call her, she's very comfortable with that. It's just sometimes her stomach really hurts, sometimes her throat hurts. So it's like, oh my God, she yells. So it's weird for the house to just be like quiet. Like for a second there, I was like just paused, right? It looked like my video probably froze because I was just like, it's quiet. Oh, the dollar breaking out again? See, the dollar can curl up. I like to just watch the daily for the dollar. This is still just a kind of downward trend. We're actually seeing that reject. Something that could be interesting here would be to get another retest, right? To get this to come down for a little bit, maybe test the 200 here. and then see that spike back up. But this is a very, very bad sign for the market. You really have to be open to bad things happening in the market. Maybe we could look at the Dow. Look at the Dow. It's starting to drop off for a couple of days. What's the SPY doing? Drop off just a little bit for a couple of days. So if we do see buying back up and we see the Dow actually making lower levels, that'll be something to really pay attention to. But as of right now, look where we held up. We talked about this at the beginning of the video. Hey, we came out of the Bollinger. Where do we like to go after we come out the Bollinger? Pretty strong here. 5-day. 5-day moving average. We retest. If we just get a strong move from here, you're probably heading upward. You just want to be careful as the SPY. If it heads upward from here, you could be seeing this, come up to here and then wick down, because this is the monthly expected move. So you could see that pull back down as we're approaching the end of the month here. So just be a little bit cautious up in this area is really what I would say. And we'll say that more tomorrow. If we see a positive move in the daily tomorrow gives us something like this, then we can say, oh, this zone right here looks pretty juicy. Good morning from Los Angeles. What up, Ocean Goose? How you doing? Q's similar story, right? So now we're holding above those daily expected moves. We broke below that 5 for just a moment, but this same thing. Come out, come back down to the 5. You can't get bearish until you really take out the 5. And notice this, we rejected the crossing of the 5 to the 20 to the downside here. It's pretty interesting stuff, but we talked about this right at market open, like, hey, just watch. Or actually, we talked about it before the market opened, that 5-day moving average was going to be there. Ooh, he's relaxed. HYG continuing to break down. That's interesting. TLT breaking down at this point. So we're going to see these yields head higher. Oh, God, guys. If these yields... Oh, God. I know we've said it in a couple videos, but look at that strong bar. If these yields get above 4.362, is very, very bad. I just work with a startup at this point, and then I run my own business. I actually quit my job, my 60-hour-a-week job, because I was spending 60 hours on that. I was coming out, spending about hours a day on YouTube, so I wasn't able to make a YouTube video every day. And I really enjoy doing this for you guys. I do. I know there's pros and cons to everything, but I do enjoy it. And so I said, okay, if I can do this, and we just had the baby girl, and she's been, she was premature, so we were going through lots. Pretty much I was getting like maybe 2 hours of sleep a day, working 60 hours a week, then doing YouTube as well. So I just went, you know what, let me just work with the startup. The startup's funded by a guy from Coke, like one of the high ups at Coke. So I'm like, it's a good startup. I'm just helping them with their marketing side and kind of the planning of how they're going to approach businesses for their product. And then I do this. So I just said, hey, let me add live video, talk to you guys about some stuff, on the daily. And I knew that daily ranges were very useful. So I knew you guys would find them useful. And that's why I overall was like, let me try to make the change. But this was blatantly a shot in the dark, guys. This was a shot in the dark to see if it would be successful. And it honestly is still a shot in the dark at this moment. That's why I really would appreciate you guys liking and subscribing, doing all that stuff, because I literally was like quitting my job for my family, quitting my job to potentially do something with YouTube at the same time as my trading. Look at Nvidia. Oh, Gabo, did you just bait me? So yeah, that's the overall reason that I do say like the video, join the Patreon, and take the course. 1, because you get to help support me and my family, but 2, because I believe they're actually useful. I really do. I use all of the things that I talk about with you guys. I blatantly use all the time. I really do. And if you can't do one of those things, if you can't join the Patreon, you can't buy the course right now, even though it's 50% off for just a few more days here, guys. 50% off just for a few more days, $100. All right. But if you can't do those things, show up every day, ask questions, like the video, watch my YouTube videos. There's plenty of ways to contribute to support the channel just by showing up. It really is. So I appreciate all you guys coming. But I felt like I had the opportunity to do something that I genuinely enjoy for the rest of my life, which is talk about stocks. And that's why I decided to make the move. And I'm hoping over the next couple of months we can say, hey, it played out. We'll see. Hopefully in a couple of months I don't have to go back to my job, which they immediately said, like, hey, we'll take you back at any time. So that's always a good thing. I left on good terms. They'll take me back at any time. But like I told you guys, I think if you guys were here when I had like 1,000 subs, I put out a video just really being honest. And I was like, I'm not some rich dude. I'm someone who builds. I know that the slow way to make, or the fast way to make money in the market is the slow way. So I'm just a guy who's building, and I will continue to work in some kind of job because I know that's how you build. RX Jorge, thank you so much. I really appreciate you saying that. It is helpful. Alan appreciates me. I really appreciate that. Tesla looks like it's coming alive. It's alive. Nvidia up 2.16. Crazy. So if Tesla's seeing some positivity, is Apple seeing some? Not really right now. We'll have to see on that one. But Tesla's seeing some positivity back in. Good sign, right? It's a good sign. But you still have to be very careful in this area, right? We do have the potential to head down. Really just look, 2 hour already crossed over. Good sign though, if it's able to just go back to positive, right? Cross back up. We can see that positivity. This would be a higher low at that point. That actually would be a pretty good sign. AMD, look at that strength coming through. So scaled into this position, boom, right there. Don't get scared out. Look at that. Trust your technicals, right? Trust the technicals. Look at this. The rejection of the MACD crossing to the downside here. Very, very good sign for this heading forward, but will that just be some kind of pop and drop by the end of the week? We'll have to find out. Good morning, Junior. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Apple one we'll pay attention to, see what that does moving forward. What was the other thing? We were just going to look at something, and I can't remember what it was. I wonder if Mara's seeing that continued move. You know, here's one thing about this, okay? If it consolidates before going into this zone, that could be pretty good. Like, if it just does something like this for a few 30-minute bars and then, boom, build some liquidity, that'd be pretty good, actually. One thing I wanted to check on was the small caps for just a brief moment here. Oh, see this consolidation. Actually, IWM could be making a move higher. So we could see moves higher in a lot of these stocks. Just doesn't seem like Apple at this point, huh? Oh, God. Okay, so we have to be a little careful for double top on Amazon up here. Little careful for that. Now just note, let's go check our weekly range over on Patreon here. Amazon, you still got a little room left on Amazon to the upside here. A little bit, just a little bit. Just a little room there to the upside. Oh, cool. All right. Junior, you got any good plays for the day? Anybody got any good plays out there going on? I know we got some people probably trading this AMD thing up. Look at that thing. Woo! Just wanted to say the area where we really have to get cautious is going to be up towards this gap fill. If we see some big strength out of this, really, this could just do that and still stay in this, set up that head and shoulders. So be a little careful. But, you know, a lot of things telling you, you know, AMD did break down. Maybe it wants to see a very strong move. We're starting to see resistance come in towards this high up here. Most likely what's going to happen is we're going to consolidate and then like gap higher or something like that tomorrow and then see that thing ripped away. But the thing about Nvidia that we need to pay attention to, just if it remains above 950 for most of the week, this 950 going to be very, very important because that's your call wall, right? Or was that the put wall? Hold on. 930, 950. So if you stay above 950, these 930 calls can really stay underwater and go even further underwater. They might have to cover. You might see that little bit of a squeeze going forward. Meta's still looking okay, right? Still looking pretty decent. Could just curl up positive territory, see that move higher, pay attention to those weekly expected moves. Palo Alto, I mean, you could say cup and handle, but I'm not really looking at Palo Alto lately. It just looks kind of wonky and fishy. Microsoft, this is something you have the weekly range for as well. I gave you those. It's the green lines here. So 437.82 to the upside, 419.56. So we're approaching that downward area. Maybe we actually do want to make one more move down before we see that buy back up. But we just pay attention. 30-minute curls back up in positive territory. Good shot. We're going to test this level here. SMCI almost up 10% now. So look at the cup almost fully completing, get the handle, boom, we see that move upward. So good things coming for SMCI. That's very, very good. Mara still up about 6% here. What's Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin up almost about to 70,000, about $500 off from 70,000 there. But we just need this 30-minute to curl up. If this 30-minute would curl up, we'd be like, hey, yeah, this is breaking to the upside. We're going to see some kind of extra move out of this. If we just measure that out, wonk, look where it puts us. Look where it puts us. Oh my goodness. If we take it from the bottom of the wick, by the way, I know it's outside of this. That's on the wick. Oh my gosh. But that can take some time to happen, right? We see we're still in this. So until that breaks out, retests, we might not see that happen. It might take, you know, up until Wednesday or Thursday for that to actually happen. Which the news that comes, I keep forgetting the news. Maybe it's my ADHD. On Wednesday, some crude oil stuff, but for the most part, Tuesday, durable goods. One thing that can come out for us. Some data. Dang, guys, I didn't make enough coffee for 2 cups today. Messed up. All right, so I am going to be streaming for about 15 more minutes. Let's see if we can see some moves here. And then in 15 minutes, don't head out because we're going to go through every stock. We just want to see if anything changes over the next 15 minutes. If we see anything sell off, if we see anything crazy happen out there. I really wanted to look at a 5, though. You see this curving of the MACD here. Now we're in the point where sellers can step back in, but we're also in the point where we can see that, you know, liquidity grab on the way up. It would have been nice to break through this, come to the gap, then do that thing to grab some here, grab some here. So maybe we do still do that by end of day. That's something I'd pay attention to. If we're going to see more downside, look for that 5-minute divergence pretty early on in the day. So if we see that over the next, you know, hour or two, see that drop like this, we can see a little divergence here. It might hint that this is actually going to cross up and then curl up that 30-minute. But if you just want to play the 30-minute here, it would make sense, right? You just want to see a strong move, see that cross on the MACD, and then you'll get a few 30-minute bars of some strength, maybe even playing to the top side of this weekly. So just something to pay attention to here. VIX, still want to check on that, still able to break down at this point. Really, I'd maybe just be looking for a 2-hour here, see if I can create some kind of divergence on the 2-hour. If this 2-hour divergence does get created, right, if this creates and then confirms or something like that, or we do this for a little bit and then that confirms, that would be going into Thursday that would happen, and maybe Friday is some bad news coming out. So you have to be cautious over this weekend. We're going to talk about that on Patreon in our weekly update video. That will come out Wednesday or Thursday during market hours. See this 2-hour, look at that 2-hour divergence just barely about to cross. So if the SPY doesn't want to see that momentum, you know, that shift to the downside at all right here, that more consolidation, and then we have to like be patient here, see if that curls up, be patient here, see if that curls up, or if we're going to turn over the daily here. We just want to see this reject right now. We don't want this to cross as of right now, but we might get that move upward and then see something bad happen going on into Wednesday or Thursday. So now those are maybes. We still follow the technicals. If this confirms, I'd say divergence. We have potential for the daily to really start to go down. And look at the daily at this point. You're at a point where it's like, okay, eventually these are going to play out, you know. Now we can stay overbought for quite some time, as you notice, overbought. But yeah, these divergences here, not looking too good. Not looking too good for especially a time where it's like data comes out on a Friday and we have to be dependent on the data because the Fed. So I haven't really looked at it too much. I'd say I mean, from the daily scale, it looks like you're going to turn up. As far as this week, I don't know, but I think a 10-point move higher, I mean, doesn't not make sense here, right? You're starting to consolidate, turn back up. So probably the 30-minute got a little bit downward. Now look at this, curl back up, positive territory. You see this curling up, positive territory. If that just breaks through where it's at right now, good shot you test this high, which is above 1,000. You just flipped bullish, Taylor? Market. Oh, you're telling me. I have calls right now. I took a play this morning. Like, so it don't matter. That's true. Happy Friday. Yeah, I'm just talking the macro side of things are telling you like, hey, probably in the next couple months, we're going to see lower prices, maybe some kind of pullback correction, or even a market crash based on the VIX. But till then, we trade the price action. We're by no means saying like, oh, we're going to crash down from here. If anything, I've been saying, hey, we're probably going to go up to like 453 on the Qs, seeing this break to the upside. So I am bullish and bearish. Don't call me a bull, don't call me a bear. I just call it how I see it. Just like when everyone said, Apple's gonna burn, and I said, we're about to see a very high bullish run back in October, and we saw that big bullish run. Not too worried about how I see things. Like, look at AM Dizzle. Oh gosh, Nvidia, you are struggling right now. Nvidia's on the struggle bus as of right now. Tesla actually flipping negative at this point too. Be a little worried if that curls over. Could see a little bit lower prices. Apple not able to hold up, not able to confirm this divergence, so that's why you want to wait for confirmation on these. 15-minute if you wanted maybe a little bit better price if you wanted to play these divergences. You can see those down there on the MACD and RSI at the same time. Definitely possible for Apple to see an upward move. Tesla. Hey, Alan, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming by. You have a great rest of your day as well. 15-minute just about to curl up. So this 15-minute hasn't even curled up into positive territory for the Qs. This is what we'll pay attention to for about 10 minutes here. Let's see if we can see a strong bar before we go through a little breakdown of every stock. Got all my water. I got all my fluids right next to me. Oh, being stupid. All right. Some things we were keeping up. Mara starting to sell off just a tiny bit down here. You see this starting to kind of want to roll over. That wouldn't be the best sign for Mara going forward. It's so strange. It's like we have setups that look like things want to go higher, but it's also so like sketchy from the volatility side of things. Like if this just based out and anywhere up in this area, the dollar still starting to, you know, it's curving down, still negative trend on the shorter time frame, but as far as it goes, you know, TLT dropping down as well. So maybe we do want to see lower prices. It's just there's a lot out there that are just a little bit to be worried about. So any trade I take this week, I will be taking profit very early. I guarantee you that. I will be making my 20, 50% and just be done. I'll be like, nope. No, thank you. Waiting for my bear market because that's when I make the most money. Kind of excited. Kind of excited for it. Yeah, let's check some emails. Check those emails. Ooh, we got new Patreon members. Saeed joined. Gabrielle joined. Gabriel. Skylar joined. Hey, thanks for joining the Patreon, guys. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you are finding a lot of that info helpful for yourself. Able to use it to make some good trades, some better decisions. You know, check that real quick. Look at the SPY. Yeah, we can look at the SPY real quick. Something about the SPY to just notice is probably like a 5-minute chart. This one here hasn't tested the bottom side of its daily expected move. So that could happen here, right? We're seeing this kind of just flagging a little. So this can roll back down negative territory on this 5 minute. Maybe the divergence down here is what gives you a more solid pop. You know, I don't really like 5 minute divergences that much, but we can do something like this. We've used it in the past. It makes sense. So if it wanted to drop lower, the Qs already hit that range, right? So we could see a similar thing from the Qs where it just like does something like this and then breaks lower. So I'll just do my overall breakdown right now. Why don't we just get through that? So if I'm looking at the SPY here, I really just want to see if I can build up structure to head higher again, right? I want to see if I can build back up to this area, get that to curve over, see a left, a head, and a right shoulder. That's really how I see it going upward. So if I want to head down first, I can look for like a little 5 minute divergence if it's during market hours outside of this daily expected move, because 68% chance we land back up in this area. So if we break through here, good chance we actually pop back up by end of day. And all I have to do is really watch this 30 minute as well. Positive territory, still nothing to be too negative about. It's a little bit of a wonky day in the market, but you can see 30 minutes still getting close to the center line. Well, what happens most of the time when it gets close to the center line? Well, we see a strong move up. Let's take this one, for instance. We see a strong move up, we get some wonky price action, and then we see that curl back up positive territory. Boom, we see that move higher. So right now we're seeing that curl down, get close to the center line, see if that creates that wonky price action, and then boom, curls up positive territory. We could get a divergence. I still think that the SPY has a good shot to go test that upside of the weekly expected move this week. But it is a shortened trading week, so we could fall a little bit short. Qs, similar thing, right? 5 minute. Look for that if it's going to curl back down. Maybe we create a divergence down here outside of that daily expected move, and then we land in this zone 68% of the time. So we could see some kind of bounce there. What I would just look at, Armando, welcome. 30 minute. We're not going too long today. I'll try to do a longer stream, maybe going on into some data drops or something like that tomorrow. Let me just double check that real quick before I get going. Yeah, tomorrow we might go a little bit longer because we do have a data drop. Okay, so we'll look at that. But I just be paying attention to these moves, right? We've been touching them pretty good over the last few days. Now, if this comes down like this, curls up, what can we see? Well, we could see it cross up into positive territory, see that ABC move. We measured this out for you. It literally hits the weekly expected move. So if we're going to see that strong move up, most likely we see this happen where we grab some liquidity in this area right over here, and then we start to head upward. So just pay attention if this MACD is able to cross in positive territory. IWM looking like it wants to cross in positive territory, so that's one to note. I know we don't have ranges for it, but something to look at. Apple even, 30-minute divergence. So 30-minute divergence tells me, hey, there could be some positivity coming, but it hasn't confirmed yet, so be very careful. This is just flat down here on the RSI. If you see it there, it's pretty flat, not necessarily an upward move. So you want to be able to cross that center line. You want to be able to cross this center line, look for that to go positive. Then maybe we get some kind of retest. We come up into this area up here. That's something to pay attention to. Tesla, don't really like this happening here because we could just complete this cup, get a handle and head lower. Tesla's just, it's going to be a difficult one to trade. As you're seeing 15 minutes, that might set up divergences. You're seeing 2 hours that, are rolling over. So really you just want this 2 hour to roll back up. The main thing is the daily. You do still have green impressions on the histogram here, and you have divergence, okay? So, these can take a little bit to play out, but it looks like over the next couple weeks, according to this momentum, if Tesla sees some good news, it can get a strong move, okay? It can get a strong move. I would play the top Bollinger, maybe something like that, maybe 205, something like that, or just this high. This zone here has sold us off a few times, so we could even play that zone, right? We've been paying attention to this area for quite some time. So if it does want to get that strong move, you see the divergence on the MACD, you see it on the RSI at the same time. So good chance that Tesla's actually going to see a big move unless we get something really bad from the market, just from a fundamental or some kind of perspective there. Amazon looking like it wants to curl up. We got the Bollingers pretty tight, starting to stretch them to the upside. It looks like it wants to curl up on the daily. So we could get a prolonged positive move. GDP has been positive for the overall market, okay? So we have to pay attention to that one more time. Now the 30-minute here, are we getting some kind of huge cupping and handling? Possibly. I would just say watch out. You do have that divergence up here. You could get more consolidation before you actually want to head higher. I'd be paying attention to right now if this 2-hour curls over for Amazon. If this 2-hour curls over for Amazon, it might mean bad things. You might want to be a little careful because that can go negative. And if that goes negative, that means, hey, we break through this low, boom, we make a series of lower lows, lower highs, okay? So just be a little careful there. Nvidia, you really just want this to stay above 950 if you're a bull. I would say that 930 maybe is the last line in the sand. This is where the first big put wall is. So if these people can remain underwater for a little bit of time this week, and this just kind of remains up here, they might get squeezed out by the end of the week. All right, so pay attention to that. But this is a positive move. One thing that we noticed though, 15-minute divergence, pretty prominent right here. So you have to be open to this divergence playing out, rolling over the 1 hour. So if that 15-minute divergence confirms, you want to see if this 1 hour can fully roll over. That could mean it needs to reach to lower prices before it actually heads up again. So just be very careful with Nvidia. This thing is very hard to short. I'm not going to be touching it for the most part. Now, AMD buy signal on the 1 hour. Let's see, the 2 hour actually getting a strong bar for once after we head to lower levels. This is a, it is a nerve-wracking trade, but I can tell you this is a good trade if you can keep your emotions in check. All right, you could say I'm going to buy these a month out. I see divergence. Boom, one position here. Curling up, positive territory. Boom, one position here. Then you say, oh, that dropped off again. Everyone's bearish. Okay, we reject the crossing, go positive, boom, another position here. So really a good way to head higher. Now I would just say I'm going to target my weekly expected move. Where is that? Well, it's somewhere up in this area. If you want that, you can go over to Patreon. All right, so AMD looking like it's going to get some strength here. Will that get this 2 hour into positive territory, or are we going to roll over again before that happens? I think you have a high likelihood to see positivity going on for a couple days here, and then you just see that roll back down, and then we get this flag to fully play out. So I just pay attention to that, but if we want to head higher, left, head, maybe we create the right shoulder up in here, right, something like that. That would make sense. If we want to head lower, well, then we're going to come up to here and create that right shoulder over here. That's how I would see it. Be open to both scenarios. Meta about to curl, about to curl over on the 2 hour here. So I really want to pay attention to that. Look at that, confirming as of right now, divergence across the board here, across this, across over here, a lot of divergences here. So you have to be open to it. 30-minute though, in the shorter time frames. Remember, it can take some time for these things to play out. So 30-minute wants to curl up in positive territory. We can see positivity. I'm going to pay attention to my trend line up here, and then pay attention to my weekly expected moves. I'm actually going to look at the weekly expected move. Meta was just added, so I can tell you that the weekly expected move for Meta is sitting somewhere up in this area, right up in here, all right? Let's go into Microsoft. We actually gave you the weekly expected moves for Microsoft. Overall, we were talking about on the shorter time frames, does this want to roll over and actually get a test of that level before heading higher? Then maybe we get rejected off of this area. That's definitely possible, right? That's definitely possible. I'm just seeing if this 30-minute can curl up positive territory, but no real trade setups as of right now using those weekly ranges. So I'm not, really looking at Microsoft to some upside. If anything, I could play like a few month out play to the downside, just for some kind of pullback or something like that. This is okay. Google holding at higher levels, has the divergence. Maybe it wants to set up a little one right here. That's how I would see it. Or maybe it wants to get this high up in here. We have like this weird left shoulder, but as of right now, it looks kind of bullish because you are completing this big cup in here. Now this could be your handle. If you see this curl up on the 30-minute, we could see that positivity come in with a pretty good move. SMCI, very strong move. Don't want to bet against this at this point. Like I don't, because the daily is crossing up. We could see this cross up for a few days. We could see this come all the way up into, let's say, like 1300 or 1400. So I won't be trying to short anything like SMCI on shorter time frames. Now, Mara, this is one that we were looking at. I was like, it looks pretty good. Looks like for a swing trader, it wants to curl up. It's closing above the moving averages right around here. Wants to curl up, positive territory there. It looks all right, but we said that zone. We got to be very careful with this zone right here because we could get rejected from that area. We just drew this up live. We drew it up this morning, this zone here. Something you can learn on the course, how to find those zones a little bit better. And what we were saying was be careful if it wants to come up into there again. Guess what? Comes down, literally dinks it like 30 minutes after we talk about it. And we see that sell off a little bit. So if you wanted to head higher here, it's fine to do this. You just want price to get pretty tight in here and then see that break to the upside. That's what I would say. Now, you do still want to be cautious out there, all right? We're going to go through some dailies here just to make sure we are being diligent, trading like water, right? Trading like water because something bad could be right around the corner. So if we're taking any calls, we just have to be like, okay, let me just take my profit a little earlier. Dollar, seeing this extreme move, consolidating, seeing another extreme move. Okay, now the market is seeing an extreme move and more extreme moves higher. This is not supposed to happen. So something is wrong here. And I truly believe that since this is mostly insiders selling, the dollar is telling you that something is very, very bad is coming around the corner. And those, insiders are getting out before that news actually happens. So the reason for that as well, volatility, when you look on the daily, you're like, oh, this is just remaining lower and we can continue to go up. And that's very well true. But we're coming up into a point where the weekly is so tight on this Bollinger Band that I think the last time it was this tight was right before the 2008, housing crisis. So you have to be open to, yes, this can extend for some time, but eventually, probably in the next month or two, we're going to see this actually explode. And you guys know that if it can happen in the next month or two, that means it could happen this week. So you just want to be very careful with your trades, take profit, keep those stops in place a little bit earlier, make sure you're managing that risk. And there's nothing bad about what I'm saying. It's not like the market can't still be bullish and you still not do what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, why wouldn't you? If there's potential for something really bad to happen, you should trade in a way that has that potential to where it doesn't hurt you. And then once that goes away, let's say these signals go away, well, then you can start to trade a little bit bigger. But right now, it's just me. You guys know I'm not taking any huge trades. I'm waiting for this to tell me what it's going to do. Is this just going to be a dramatic pop and then we keep coming down? Perfectly open to that. Open to just more bullishness. I just trade the price action. But what this is really telling you is I look like right before 2008. Buy stocks? Like, this looks exactly what it looks like before 2008. Buy stocks. Like, no, that doesn't make sense to me. So, kind of a weird take, but all right, and then the last one here, let's just see if this 30-minute is actually able to curl up on the Qs just yet. Nothing just yet. We might actually get rejected up here, see a little bit lower, and then we see that reaction up. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed today's live stream. I really appreciate you guys out there. Oh, Robert Parambi. I didn't see you did $2. Hey, Lucas, ARM looks weaker of the chip names, and it's setting a lower high today after rejection of 140. What's your opinion on the downside? Yeah, so ARM is one that we went over a little bit ago. But look at this. You got 30-minute divergence. It's not looking the best from a 30-minute divergence perspective, but you are breaking out of consolidation, right? This does not look bad on the daily scale. So you really just want to see, does this 30-minute divergence get you to break through this level? I would say look for that to be some kind of retest ahead higher. I'm just stating, and thank you so much for the $2 super chat, Robert. Really appreciate it. The daily is why I'm overall saying that positivity can come, but we're seeing that fade. So really see, if there's... Quiet, Mr. Tibbs. All right, if there's going to be positivity here, this is kind of a swing trader dream, right? It comes up or tight on the Bollinger. We can see a strong move here. The measured move brings you probably to somewhere around like 200. So you just want to be a little careful with this as you are seeing that, but you could just get consolidation start to head up. SPY looks like a lower high. At this point, guys, you're still trying to react off of the 5-day moving average. Now, you can head to lower levels, but the 15-minute is just not even negative yet. I'm not too worried about this. We talked about this a few minutes ago, but the 5-minute. Just look at the 5-minute. This is most likely going to do this today. I'll tell you exactly what I think it'll most likely do. All right. So, SPY is probably going to roll down. Then we are going to come touch that daily expected move. We're going to get some divergence down here, and then we're going to see that play out to the upside, and then we're going to get this 30-minute to crossover. This crossover on the 30-minute is probably going to lead us to a new all-time high in the SPY this week. see that push up, maybe touch this trend line, maybe even extend all the way up into Thursday around this weekly expected move. This is where I expect some volatility to possibly come back in, or maybe it comes in over the weekend as PCE will be on Friday when the market is closed. Now, that is my just like take on it, but don't get fooled into thinking like, oh, this is a huge sell-off. This is not a huge sell-off. It can make lower moves. You can pay attention to the 5-minute, just rolling over. Look for some setups outside of these daily expected moves. That's what I would do. Tesla, positive. See, like Apple, same thing, right? This is kind of flaggy at this point. Now, this is like a tiny little... Hey, thank you for subscribing, Net Future Crypto. Really appreciate it. Now, this could be the slight cup and handle on this shorter 5-minute here. But do we want to see that actually head higher, or do we want to confirm this as some kind of flagging to head lower? Well, I know where my weekly expected moves are for Apple, and you can get those down in the description on Patreon. There's a little button you can click down in the description there that'll get you these these expected moves every single week that we post every Sunday. This could be flagging. Maybe we want to dip down and create a small 5-minute divergence here first as well. So you kind of have cup and handle to head up, and you have this flagging here to possibly head down, but then you would have that weekly expected move somewhere down in this area. Maybe that's where you get a more sustainable bounce. But at this point, I mean, I really think Apple most likely with this 30-minute divergence here will see some kind of positivity. Will that actually be able to see the 2-hour see a bunch of strength, or is the 2-hour just going to create that lower high that you were talking about on the SPY? Well, the Apple can actually do this, come up into this area and create that lower high around here. That actually could happen. So you just want to pay attention to it in an order. I like to do 30-minute, then I look at 2-hour, then I look at daily. Let's fucking go, VIX. What is the VIX pop? Oh god. So one thing on the VIX, I remember just stating 2-hour divergence is possible. We get a lot of reactions if we see major bullishness, a lot of fear sucked out. Look for that 12-12. We could do something like that really quick, but I would look for something like that to happen somewhere around Thursday. But that is all just like a prediction at that point. We still just follow the price action. We wait for those divergences to actually set up, make sure that they're actually confirming. Don't try to, take anything really early. Like right now, oh, I see it crossed on the MACD. Let me see if the divergence will play out when it hasn't confirmed. And then that 2-hour just keeps going down. So you want to be very careful in a market like this, but you can catch very good moves. And thank you, Robert, again for the donation. Let's celebrate their 5th super on live stream. No, it's dead. Hey, it could be. Very well could be. Yeah, we need to put a breathing apparatus on Apple right now. So something to pay attention to throughout the day. Just see if the Qs are able to roll, or the SPY and the Qs are able to roll up on the 30-minute here. If they head to lower levels, look at the 5-minute. Look for some kind of divergence down here. Could give you a hint as to what's to come tomorrow. All right, guys, I am going to leave you off with that for the day. Tomorrow we will be doing a little bit longer live stream. We have some data. I think tomorrow could be interesting as we could be seeing some pops higher, or we could be seeing dramatic drops lower. We'll have to see, are those 2-hour and daily divergences going to play out to the downside, or are we going to see the craziness continue? Are we going to just see these 30 minutes keep rolling up in positive territory? And that's really what I think is going to happen. I don't see anything that could really break us down. And I don't think durable goods is going to do it tomorrow, but we'll stay on a little bit longer tomorrow. Maybe we'll stay on till lunchtime. All right, that sounds good. And then I'll go get some lunch. But really appreciate you guys being here, liking, subscribing, even donating, Robert. Really appreciate that. You guys know I love when you guys buy me a little cup of coffee and things like that. It's awesome. Make sure to really be thinking about joining that Patreon. And if you are thinking about taking the course, remember the price as of next week will go up by 100%. The price will be $100. Next week, it'll be $199. So just if you're really thinking about that, try to get that going this week. All right, try to take that over the weekend. And like I said, when you do take the course, email me or join the Patreon so you can message me and ask me some questions if there's anywhere you are struggling. And I know, Robert, I need to work on that video about you know, when to fully get out of a trade or when to kind of take a loss. So we'll get to that for sure this week. It will be posted by this week, and I for sure will do that. Steve, you're coming in at the end. If you want to look at our breakdown, just zoom or, you know, rewind back about 15 minutes and watch that for us. But really appreciate you guys. Welcome to the new subscribers. Darkside Trader, Net Future Crypto, and I believe there's one more. Wasn't there one more? I feel like there was one. I think it was this morning. Someone did join. Just scroll. Oh God, I don't want to mess it up. Jeremy, a couple hours ago. I can't read the other one, but thank you guys so much for subscribing. I know you just got here. It's actually because you got here that we're leaving. We were like, once Steve gets here, we're out of here. No, but literally look at the last 15 minutes. We talked about some things, and I think it's overall helpful. I just have to go today. Tomorrow I will be live probably all the way until lunchtime. So tomorrow will be a good day, but join the Patreon, get that course while you can for the next few days for, you know, 50% off. And I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day trading. I really, really do. I'll see you tonight on YouTube. Good luck today. I didn't do that the best. Let me try this again. I hope you guys have all the luck in the world trading for the rest of your day. And I hope that, dang it. Okay, let's try this one more time. Let's see, what can we do? I wish you good luck in all your trades for the rest of the day, and I hope that it is beautiful weather, so after your good trading day, you can go out and have a nice walk. Peace. There we go. That's pretty good. Thank you guys. Have a good done. I can't talk today.